As previously noted, we're going to start off by looking at the Winds and Wave trailer. I'm going to start off just by playing it normally, and then we'll go through and we'll take and we'll have a look into it a bit deeper, see if we can point out some stuff. So here we go. I've seen this trailer before. This is not a first reactions or anything, but I will be commenting. See, I like how they start off. They've got looking at this sketchbook. I love the sketchbook aesthetic. This is obviously meant to be red and blue in Viridian Forest. Then you've got Ecritique City. I also just want to pause just real quick. I am playing around with the volume a little bit because I'm still trying to figure out the exact setting I want. So if the volume goes up and down a little bit, I apologize. Also, this is Hoenn, and this is when the two types of bikes were introduced in Kecleon. I think this is just outside of Fortree City, if I remember rightly. It's been a while, so don't quote me. This is Gen 4 with Sinnoh. Gen 5 with Unova. Gen 6 with Kalos. Gen 7 with Alola, my favorite region. Gen 8 with Galar. And Gen 9 with Paldea. And now Gen 10 with Winds and Waves. We still don't know what the region's called, and we haven't seen the box legendaries, but I don't think we'll see those till next year, if I had to guess. I heard from the initial rumor that the bot legendaries were going to be like a winged horse and a seahorse, but I don't know if that's still the case. I don't think so, because that seems a bit lame, but we'll see. And then this is Mr. Wavychew and Mr. Windychew and Miss Wavychew. And then it transitions into the game proper. And then I gotta say, the first thing I said to myself when I saw this trailer for the first time was, oh my goodness, look at that water. Look at the water. It is gorgeous water effects. They really went to town. And the rumor is that, and this isn't really a rumor, but the rumor is that they took a bit extra time. They're doing more polish, making everything look as nice and fun and as luscious as possible. I think this looks great. Even just from this early look at the game, this looks amazing. Like, I can't wait to explore this new region. It's gonna be great. And then we get a look at our new starters. The first 3 Gen 10 Pokemon revealed. I don't know which one I want, which is usually the sign of a good set of trios. Starters even. Brout, which is the grass type. We've got Pombon, the fire type. And Gekwa, the water type. I'm actually kind of leaning towards Gekwa because I usually pick the water type. But the other two are also good. I'm seriously considering Brout. And the fact that they go out of their way to show this underwater, because this is clearly an underwater route, right? So I think the implication is Dive is definitely coming back. And then we go to the title screen, which is, of course, is Winds and Waves. I'm so excited for these games, I cannot tell you. Like, my excitement is, it's less, it's not like a fever pitch excitement. It's not like, oh, I can't wait for these games to come out. I mean, I can't wait for these games to come out. I'm really excited for them. But it's not like I can't wait, you know? It's two different things. These are, like, let's just scrub ahead a little bit here. Like, it's like I say, let me just find it. Look at the water. Just go right back to the stacks. I think that's when it. Like, look at that. You can see it's actual tropical waters. Like, I could see someone going for a swimming in that water. I'm hoping swimming is something we can actually do, although apparently you don't really want to go swimming in Pokemon World because there's all kinds of weird things that can happen to you. But even like this is clearly like Paldea was a stepping stone, clearly, Paldea crawled so that this new region can fly, graphics wise. And it's not just the water either. Let's screw ahead a little bit more. Like, okay, the windmill, I'll grant you, doesn't look too impressive, but that stone texture is really nice to look at. And it does look like there's some bumping going on, some bump mapping, so it looks really cool. And there's like a little particle effect with the leaves. The clouds appear to have occlusion. I believe that's what it's called, where it's like, or is it volumetric lighting? Basically, the clouds look three-dimensional now rather than just vague white shapes on a backdrop. And then we go forward to Gloom and Tropius. Like, Tropius's leaves have actual shadows reflecting how the light is coming through the trees. And you can even see a little bit of on Gloom's, they're not coconuts, but I don't know what you would call them. It's flower buds, I suppose. And even the Pokemon themselves, these appear to be the same or very similar to models to what Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were using. And those models were pretty impressive. Like, say whatever you like about the game's environment, that game had really good Pokemon models. These look great. And if you look closely at the sort of hilly lump on the left there, I think that's meant to be a hill. It is a little muddy, but like I think that's just one of those things where it's like there are just going to be the odd bit of muddy texture in here and there. Overall, this game looks like, graphics-wise, look at that. Like, even just like the Wailord, shooting the water out of its blowhole is great. Like, that's fantastic. That's some amazing wall building right there. Because Wailord does appear in Sword and Shield, but because it's absolutely massive, but it doesn't do anything. It just sits there waiting for you to interact with it. So that's it's refreshing to see that we're actually getting to see these Pokemon living in an actual environment, like they're actually living creatures in this game. It seems like they've always tried to give this idea that Pokemon are animals, and I think we're finally starting to see the fruits of that kind of labor. Also, again, the texture on that cliff is way better than it was in Scarlet and Violet. Scarlet and Violet has cliffs that are basically just brown walls. Look at the layering. There's actual like sedimented layers, as if it's been eroded over time, as opposed to just being, again, a brown, slightly muddy block. And then if we go forward again, this might be the most interesting thing in the trailer, aside from the Pokemon themselves. This appears to be some kind of hotel resort type of area, and if you look in the background, sort of behind where this central logo is, you can kind of see a village that gets shown. I think it's the same village we see later on in the trailer with some coral at the bottom. You can see some nice trees, although they appear to be two-dimensional, which makes sense. When they're at a distance, you don't need them to be three-dimensional objects. We've got a round platform, and then there's some makeshift huts. Some of it kind of looks like what a construction crew might use, which apparently the evil team may or may not be a construction company. We'll see. I'm not commenting on rumors just yet. But the thing that makes me think this is a resort is this. If you look at the main structure and then look sort of to the bottom right, you see these blue-brown structures. They kind of look like huts. Like bars that you would drink at, and there's these little semicircular pools next to them. So I'm pretty sure this is a resort. I want to know what that spiral thing's for. I wonder if that's like, when you're at the climax of the story, you have to run up it and face trainers on the way up. It's hard to tell because you can't really judge how big it is just from this angle. So it may be something, maybe nothing. Then we get another look at it. It looks like this thing is hydroelectric powered, because I assume those are supposed to be like, dams or power wheels that are being turned by the constantly churning water. This thing probably needs a ton of power, so that it makes total sense that they use wave power, for lack of better phrasing. And there's these little waterfalls. I hope we get to ride one of these, like just shoot along it into the ocean. That'd be really fun. I like as well that there are these trees in the bottom left, showing which I assume are meant to be like private little beaches that you can just rent out. And again, if you look at the sort of lower levels of the structure, again you can see these little tiki bar things and swimming pools and so on and so forth. It looks really nice. Like this is clearly this is an expensive resort. I think you would have to pay top dollar to come here. And then if we move forward, we get our first look at the protagonists. Now, I'm going to pause on this one just because it's the clearest shot, but a lot of people are pointing out that device on the backpack, which looks kind of like a Switch. Like, I'm pretty sure that's meant to be a Switch or Switch-like object. I'm not saying it's a games console. I'm saying whatever that device is, it's clearly been designed to resemble a Switch. You've got the central black tablet, for lack of better phrasing, and then the two little propellers on the side, like Joy-Cons. I'm pretty sure this is a Switch 2 system, whatever it's meant to be. I think this is supposed to be some kind of hoverboard, or possibly those two-wheeled balance board things that were popular a couple of years, 10, 20 years ago. I wonder if it's meant to be like a propeller-powered one of them, and you sort of, and your Pokemon can like pull you around like a dog on a toboggan sort of thing. And then we get again our first look at the protagonist. Let me just go on. This is the first time I've actually liked the male protagonist design. I usually play the girl just because she looks better, in my opinion. And I still think the girl is probably the way I'm gonna play, because I'm one of those weirdos. But I like both the designs. They're really nice. They're really solid. Plus, especially the hat. The hat is really cool. Because clearly it's meant to keep the shade off. Let's go back very slightly. So this is that village I pointed out from before. I think, again, this might be part of the same resort, and perhaps this is like for people who would rather live nearer like the village and stuff. You can even see like bathing chairs on that beach near the top right of the screen. So everything about this just screams this is a tropical resort. I also kind of like what appears to be coral down there in the bottom right, where the clear, again, the gorgeous looking ocean is. I'd love to go for a dip in this ocean. But yeah, you can clearly see what appears to be like coral and maybe some anemones, which is interesting because that would be one of the very few times, if ever, a Pokemon game has actually included, a living organism that isn't a Pokemon but also isn't like a tree, because like Pokemon are animals, and coral is technically an animal as well. In fact, I think it's a group of animals living together, so it's kind of like that. And we have a coral Pokemon, so I guess I'm just glad they didn't try and shoehorn like a bunch of Corsola into one area. Like I suppose that's good. The fact that they're making actual coral a thing. Maybe that's how Corsola are made in the wild. Maybe they are just coral initially and they grow into Corsola. But moving on, I'm gonna let the plane actually. Is that a sign back there? I love. If you look at the sort of the go back. Sorry, I keep doing that. Give me a second. Yeah, I love the slow pan. It's hard to tell where this area is supposed to be just because we don't get a very clear look at it. But I love the fact that you can see the sun, and then you've got all this grass, and not all of it is illuminated in the same shade. Like, there's lots of different strands of it. That's exactly how I'd expect grass to look in real life. So it's the fact they're making this just more realistic looking is really nice. They've clearly learned a lot of lessons over the years. And I've no doubt, I'm willing to bet the Xenoblade guys probably helped them out quite a bit with this one. Because I think Game Freak and who is it that makes Xenoblade? Monolith? I think those two have been in cahoots for a little while now, so it's like, yeah, I'm not surprised. It looks gorgeous. Can't tell you what that sign's supposed to say though. I'm sure someone can translate it. And then we have this screenshot of the Ladybird. I do wonder if Ladybird's getting a regional evolution. I've not heard anything about it, but you never know. The trees look very nice. There's not really any, graphic fractaling going on or anything like that. You can even see if you look in sort of the gap on the right there. There's a tree whose leaf appears to have been eaten, which implies that a ladybird or something else has nibbled away at the leaf, which is a really nice little touch. A nice little bit of world building again. Then we've got a look inside a magma area, and I really love this shot as well because this is the first time Pokemon have been given like glowing effects on their bodies. So you've got like Slugma, whose entire body is magma, so naturally it would glow red hot. And then you've got is it Sizzlipede? I think this one's called on the front, and because its body is red, because it's a red hot Pokemon, it's a fire type, but also it has two little flame mustaches, so naturally they give off a little light, which is you can even see it at its rear there. It has another one of those on the other end, so there's two little lights. It's just a nice little touch. It's really good to see them finally going all out with this. I'm actually surprised that the glowing marks on its underbelly don't actually light up the ground, but I guess, I don't know, maybe that'll change, maybe not. But it still looks really nice. I love the look of the flowing lava in the background as well, by the way. I think that's a really nice touch. And then we get our first interaction. We get our first look of Pikachu in the new style. Not much to say about Pikachu itself, but I do love this surrounding area. That waterfall back there looks amazing. Like, that waterfall looks really nice. And the rocky wall to the left with the nice little indentation going on. Like, the key to good environments, in my opinion, is adding detail. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it just adds to, like, the world. Like, adds a tiny bit of complexity. And then you've got these little bits of grass with the yellow tips, and they look really nice. And then you've got that tree that's curling up there. It's really good. I like that Pikachu's cheeks glow with electricity now, because that's where its electric pouch the electric pouch is stored. That's a really nice touch. And then we get the little animation with the Pokeball, because of course we do. Glad to see they're reusing it from I want to say it's Scarlet and Violet, because I was playing that today and it reminded me of that a lot, so I'm glad they're reusing that. Again, nice little look at the background. Ground textures maybe could do a little work, but that's fine. Then we get another one of these really nice water shots, and I love the fact you can see sort of further out to sea. There's clearly a drop off, and it gets really nice and deep. So I'm imagining that's probably where tourists wouldn't really go, but I bet that's where you can find a whole bunch of like water and underwater Pokemon. And the Wingull looks really nice as well. I love the fact that there's if you look at the wing, really nice. It's got a really nice bit of shading there right at the tips, which is a weird sentence to say out loud, but it's got that nice little grey bit, showing that it's not just a flat plane anymore. It is actually it's a wing. It's actually an appendage, and there's a nice little there's a nice little bit of light reflection from its beak, from the sunlight and the shadow. Even the main body has a really nice gentle bit of shading on it, because it's in a bright environment. Naturally, there's not much shadow there. And then we get a look at probably the weirdest shot in the trailer is a bunch of Krabby and Sandygast. I heard Krabby was supposed to be getting some kind of regional form, but the fact that we see it here in its Cantonian form, quote unquote, in the trailer, makes me sort of go, yeah, nah. Nah, that's not how that works, fam. I always like Kingler. I think Kingler's a fun Pokemon, and Krabby is the step up to Kingler. It's cool as well that if you pay attention, if you look at that Krabby's shadow there, it is actually cast away from the moon in the background, which is really nice. That really shows how much attention to detail they've put into this. The Sandygast as well, it doesn't quite match the sand, but that's fine. That's how you're supposed to be able to tell it apart, so that's fine. Nice little bit of work. I like the lighting on that central like rocky pillar almost in the middle of the screen. It's really nice. That's just nicely illuminated by the moon. And then you've got this sunset picture, which again shows off just how nicely detailed the shadows are this time around. You've got Horsella there just sort of wobbling along. You've got a Marini presumably trying to eat it. The horns and the back of the Corsola are really nicely illuminated to show that coral texture going on. And then one thing I noticed is that the main, because you can see the main resort building on the back left there, and there's some like blue, green, yellow spotlights, for lack of better phrasing, shooting off into the air. I wonder if at night, like, they start throwing some kind of party, and then, or some kind of event, and everyone goes to it, and, you know, we have a little bit of a party. That could even be part of the storyline. That would be an interesting way to incorporate the environment into it a little bit. It could even be that, you know, when it could even be an event like, okay, you come tonight, you know, we do this little, you know, the Elite Four live in the hotel or whatever, or the area around it. I don't know. I think I'm pushing a little too hard, but really nice effects going on. I love the effects of the sun on the water and then that cloud in the top middle of the screen. Again, that's just a reflection of just how much this lighting engine has had some work done to it. It looks absolutely fantastic. And then we have a swamp where Carnivine, a time pole. I think I saw an Arbok somewhere back then, but I could be mistaken. But it's nice to see that they've actually modeled the lily pads. The lily pads have just a tiny little bit of depth to them to show they're not completely flat leaves. The flower in the foreground looks really nice. The water again looks gorgeous, especially with that sun dappling across it sort of effect. I like as well that there's actual light like streaming through the trees as well. It lends a nice little bit of a mysterious bog look. And even like the individual trees have slightly different shades of green to touch, so you can, you know, tell them apart a little bit. There's really nice little bits of shading going on. We get another look at the magma area with two of the slugma. And again, these guys are nice, you know, glowing because they're made of lava, so naturally they would glow. And again, the lava here is really nice to look at, and you know that I love the texture on that cliff in the middle. Kind of looks like it might be a statue almost. So I wonder if that's interactable in any way, or maybe there'll be an item there in the final game because that kind of looks like a ledge. I don't know. And then we get this nice shot of some kind of building, with with a pair of Duskull. The Duskull themselves, nothing really to write home about. I like there's a little bit of a glow around the left one, presumably because that's where the moonlight's hitting it. There's a little tiny bit of a glow on the right hand one as well. You can just about see the moon through the tree leaves on the top right there as well, which is super nice effect. Like, that's really good. And because it's, you know, you're out in the middle of nowhere, you can also see some nice, you just about see some stars glowing faintly there. There's also some kind of yellow pillar behind the trees, pretty much where my wavelength is right now. I guess that's supposed to be a sign. It looks artificial, so it could be anything, but it looks like a sign or possibly a light. The building itself, I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. It could be the protagonist's house once you sort of move in. Although there's this Slow King advertisement there, which makes me wonder if it's something else. Like maybe it's a basic Pokemon or something like that. Or maybe it's even like a shop that sells certain items that you can evolve your Pokemon with, or something else. We won't know for a while yet, so there's no point. I mean, there is no point speculating. We won't know till next year. But I'm kind of enjoying this, so I'm dragging this out a little bit. We'll say there's some nice lighting going on with the building itself, because you can see there's a little light dangling on that lower floor, and it's illuminating the roof. It's really nice. Also, Slowking, apparently in its pre-evolution, presumably in this game. They're in part of the advertisement. We get another shot of the windmill, and you can see this is an area you'll be able to access. I think the game is meant to be open world as well, so you'll presumably be able to access the whole area. I love that the protagonist is seen here running, holding her hat so that she doesn't blow away, because presumably it's windy. Again, nice little effect going over the clouds. I'm going to stop gushing over the clouds at some point, but it's super nice. Like, this looks like an actual sky rather than just blue with some white on it. And again, the grass in the bottom left looks really good and luscious. It looks so nice. Then we have a downward shot with some trees. These look really lovely. The shadowing effect's really nice. I love that individual blades of grass can have little bits of shadow on them. And then we see these little guys. And again, there's the shadow at work on this is really good. I love how this lighting engine is looking. Also, I didn't realize this, but Brown apparently has a fluffy little tail back there. I don't think that's in any of the screenshots or in the artwork, so there you go. That's something you've learned. But let's talk about the styles for a second. These are really nice. I like all three of them. I think I said this before. So Brown, I know a lot of people looked at this and they're like, that looks like an Angry Bird, and it really does. If his body and beak were the same color, I would be like, yeah, this is an Angry Bird, 100%. I know people are also comparing it to Rowlet, but I'm like, they couldn't be more different. Rowlet is a little owl. This guy's clearly some kind of chicken or something similar. I do really enjoy the fact as well that the green leaves on its head attached to its horn, not its horn, sorry, its beak, are meant to resemble like a seed just starting to bud, representing that Brown is the base stage of its line. And also just the fact that the green leafy feathers don't go all the way down its body, showing it's still a chick, it's still growing. I think that's really nice. I love that design. Brow is one of the ones I'm leaning towards. And I think this might be everyone's favorite. Pombon is the fire type. It's very clearly got it's obviously a Pomeranian dog. You can also see a little bit of lion in there if you look close, if you squint a little bit. It's clearly meant to be like, it's a fire type, so it's very clearly meant to be like a blazing, energetic little Pombon. Pomeranian even. With Bon being from Bonfire. Really like the design, very cute. I know this is the kind of the favorite for everyone, and I think most people are going to end up picking it. I don't feel this one so much. I love it, but I'm not picking it. It's probably the one I'm least likely to pick, if I'm honest. And then Gekwa. Gekwa is obviously some kind of gecko Pokemon. I like the fact that it has nice big pink eyes. I think it looks really nice. I know a lot of people have been comparing it to Froakie. Some would say unfavorably comparing it to Froakie. Geckos and frogs are not the same animal, so I don't see the need to compare the two. I do like that his fingers look like his eyelashes with the same sort of tapering sky blue effect going on. And then the little teardrop on its head and the white line beneath, they just give a little extra character to its design that it wouldn't otherwise have. The big pink eyes make me think it's probably going to be Psychic type. If not that, then Fairy or Poison, because they're usually associated with pinky purple colours. Gecko's probably the one I'm going to end up getting, and if I can manage it, I'll probably end up with Brown on the team at some point. But Gecko's the one I'm leaning towards the most, just because I love the water type starters. They're really fun. I really like how all this looks. And then this is the same shot I think we saw at the beginning, or a very similar shot. The fact there are so many islands, like you can see them way off in the distance. Like there's a massive one right back there. There's this little one way off in the distance on the left. There's even, if you look so really fast to the left here, You can even see this flattish one, which could be a boat or something. And then obviously the clouds looking really good. Apparently that wasn't the last time I was going to gush about the clouds. This grey cloud on the right, I know a lot of people are speculating. It kind of looks like a Gyarados to me. Like it could be a Gyarados, or it could be a new legendary or Pokemon or some event or something like that. Kind of makes me think of a seahorse, like, or it actually kind of looks like Crocorock a little bit if you squint, like with the snout and the tail tapering off. I think it looks closer to that than a Gyarados. Maybe we get a water type Sandile. That'd be pretty fun. I'd love to see that. And then we get this diving into the ocean thing. I wonder if that's how it works. I wonder if that's how it looks in the game. The camera sort of rears back, dives in, and then you just sort of end up at the start of these routes. I hope it's more seamless than that, and like that would just be your first time or something. But it is very cool to see this underwater world. It's, you know, people think underwater is a really boring environment, and any marine biologist will tell you that this is far from a boring environment. You've just got to know where to look. I mean, you know, you've got the seaweed, you've got the kelp on the right there, and what appears to be some coral, I believe, on the left. Even the Pokemon are a bit distinct because, you know, they're not just water types. We have Frillish, we have some Wailord up at the top there. There's a Krabby wandering about, Luminion, who is a Gen 4 Pokemon. And then we've got the Time Pulse swimming in a little group. They're not even water types, so it's kind of fun to see. It's kind of fun to see a non-water type in one of these shots, because you know, they are fish at the end of the day, so they should be in the water. One thing I really like as well is that if you look at Krabby right now, it's actually walking on the ground. Like, it really looks like it's there. Like, these Pokemon look like they fit the environment, rather than, you know, just being stuck in there just for fans to notice. The terrain itself isn't anything to write home about. Like, layout wise, this appears to be just a fairly standard route, so to speak. But I'm really liking the kelp and how everything just sort of comes together. And then you look up and everything's slightly distorted. Like, you can see the sun on the left. There's a little distorted from the surface of the water. And then this is, you know, the title: Pokemon Winds and Pokemon Waves. Coming December 2027. I don't know if that's the date. I won't put it past them. And then we come full circle right back to where we started. I don't think there's anything in this portion of the trailer that I haven't already said. I'm really excited for these games. I can't wait to get these in my hands. Haven't decided if I'm going Winds or Waves, but I know I'm going one or the other. One thing I will say is I think these titles actually give us a little hint as to what the legendaries might look like. Because if you look on the Winds part of the logo, you do have this little bit of a... this little bit of a razor thing going on. Like, I can see that W being like the mask of a legendary or something, with like the two tapering horns at the side and then one in the middle. I can see that being the mask or head of a legendary. That would be really cool. And then Waves, less so, maybe because of the blocky style. Maybe the Waves Pokemon is a bit more well-defined in its shape. I've heard some people say that Wavy Chew and Windy Chew, if we go back for a second, I've heard some people say that these two are actually the legendaries in disguise, and it would explain a couple of things. Like, for example, it would explain why they're wearing clothes. It would also explain why Miss Wavy Chew, I think that's her name, has pink cheeks as opposed to the Pikachu's normal red. One could argue it's a style decision. Maybe like this specific Pikachu has pink cheeks, but with the ears down, it kind of gives them a sort of cool old man, cool old lady look, which I can dig. I'm not gonna lie, it makes them look like tourists. Which is funny because, again, apparently these are the legendaries in disguise. I don't know if I buy that theory. I think maybe they're associated with the legendaries. It wouldn't shock me, but I don't think these are the legendaries. I think they may be a disguise, they may not be. I'm not convinced until I get more information. Like, we'll know when they start releasing more information, because if these two feature any more heavily in the if Pokemon Company makes a section specifically where Wavy Chew and Windy Chew are on their own page, then yes, I'm pretty certain they're the legendaries or some associated with the legendaries. But until then, I don't think it's a good idea to speculate too much on this. But we'll see. It could be interesting. Like I say, I know I'm excited for this. So fingers crossed these games turn out to be good. But I mean, graphics-wise, at the very least, they look absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to find out more about the battle gimmick, which I'm going to be talking about in the Terra Leak video or Terra Leak section coming up next. And then, like I say, we'll look at that, and then once that's done... No, sorry, let me rephrase. First, we're looking at information that's already been revealed, which probably will be a fairly short video or section. Then we're going to look at the Terra Leak information, and then we're going to look at some rumors that people are saying are legit. So there may be some spoilers in the next videos. That's why I'm probably going to end up splitting these up, but I'll let you guys know. Until then, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Also, this wavy effect in the bottom left corner, I still think it's cool as hell. Okay, for real. Bye.